Oh, what's going on, guys? If you're joining me just now, Dion is about to get an invite as well as a special guest. So we're going to go ahead and try to see if I can get Dion over here. I probably should have actually sent the invite to him before I started the live. That's my bad. But we're going to finish up talking about some of the topics we were talking about on his channel. We were focusing a lot on off-market deals. I figured we could talk about some real estate skills that you should master. But I'm sending the invite right now to the special guest. So let me see if I can get that done. Get that spelled out right. There we go. See if we get it. Okay. All right. I think we should be good. See, I'm going to tell Dion right now, come watch my stream.
No, it's not showing.
Come on over.
I will see you on Millennial Mike's channel.
There we go. Yeah. You'll see me on my channel, bro. That's where you're going to be. Okay. People are joining in. Jay Aguilar, Glover, appreciate you being here. Oh, Glover, I did see you had a question. You also texted me this question earlier in the day, if I'm still buying deals in Chicago versus Gary. The answer is no. The reason being, the deals in Gary just pencil out a little bit better. And number two, as you and I kind of talked about, Dominic is willing to help us out on the property management aspect side of it, but I do feel bad like taking advantage of him. And I don't have a good property manager lined up in Chicago. I can't even get somebody to recommend me a property manager in Chicago. So unfortunately, I am waiting. Hold on, let me jump on the Zoom, make sure everybody's getting in. I'm waiting to do anything more in Chicago until I get a property manager lined up. I think our one of our guests is showing up. We'll see if he's jumping on here in just a second. So for those of you who know, this is Dividend Dave from the chat. Dave, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me? Am I coming through clear?
Yeah, dude, this is going to be real exciting. So for those of you who don't know, this is Dividend Dave. He is always in the chat. He's a big time supporter. He's always here supporting me, Dion, Lumberjack, Zuber. He's a good dude. Used to live actually pretty close to us. We met in person once briefly, and then we weren't able to meet up again before he moved to House Hack. But I figured it'd be a nice little treat for you guys to actually meet somebody from the chat. Maybe we'll pick more of you guys in the future to jump on and chat for a little bit. So Dave, you're muted right now. I don't know if you did that on purpose, but Dion hopefully is joining up here in a second. If not, I'll send him another email or he'll text me about it, I'm sure. But I wanted to kind of touch on a couple of subjects before I make sure that we get the rest of the questions and Dion's live answered if we miss some. But what real estate skills? Because you correct me if I'm wrong. You have one duplex right now that you're house hacking, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, congratulations. You're a stud. What do you think the most important real estate skills were for you to master when it came to getting your first property?
That's a really good question. I would say really just knowing your market and networking. I mean, they're pretty up there, and if you can do them at the same time simultaneously, then that's all the better, right? Because you really need to, like Mike Super says, you really have to know your market. But really you need to have the people and the systems already starting to be developed by the time you get your first property. Yeah.
So Dion, howdy. Appreciate you being here and jumping on over. Hopefully you can hear us. I don't know if we got all of the questions from your chat answered. Was there any more we had outstanding?
There was a couple. Alyssa had asked, Oh,
I've got that one pulled up. You want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
She says, what is your experience with renter's insurance and claims? Had a tenant's guest throw a brick at the window and there's just been miscommunication everywhere. What is the best process to handle? It's a good question, probably for the lumberjack, but Dion, I'll let you take a crack at it.
So the really cool thing with renter's insurance is they get their own company to contact. It really isn't a landlord issue. You get to say, contact your insurance company. They're going to handle this for you. When it comes to something like this, I would probably add, based on my experience, if somebody did something that caused vandalism or damage, it's probably best to get a police report.
Yeah. And I know I've had that conversation with Matt. So yeah, you should demand that your tenants have renter's insurance. If they're going to make a claim that something got broken, it wasn't their fault, somebody broke in, okay, then yeah, you want to follow up with, well, did you call the police? Did you file a report if you're really concerned that someone's broken into your house, which in Gary is somewhat, a concern. There's definitely rougher neighborhoods. And yeah, when you ask, hey, you got a police report? That's probably what the insurance company is going to want. It's a lot tougher to file a collision or an accident with your car if you didn't actually call someone to get a collision report done by a police officer. So were there any other questions from your chat before we move on?
Yeah, there's one that would be fun to let someone know. Justin asks, what's the subreddit group you're always talking about where they hate you?
That's called anti-work, right?
Anti-work, yeah. So if you want to go to Reddit, look up anti-work, put in my name in the search, and then it'll take you to the response to, I think it was like the first or second Business Insider article. They very creative ways that they hope I would die.
Yeah, there were some angry people at Dion in that chat. Okay, cool. Well, if we've gotten through them, then I want to ask, I want to showcase and shout out David here, because they're Dividend Dave. I don't know if you want me to use your full name. I won't do it. But
call me Dave. Dave's fine.
Okay. Dave, as I mentioned earlier, longtime supporter of everybody's channel, just got his first house hack. And I asked him what in his mind were the most important real estate skills he had to develop before getting this house hack. So Dave, the backstory on you is you were living in Bellingham, Washington. So you said networking and knowing the market, but you had to do that literally from complete opposite ends of the country. So how did you network? What was your keys to networking to learn that market on the other side of the country?
I would say it's just going through the motions of, like, you know, when you set property searches, you get to know real estate individuals. They could know some contractors that they use. I was fortunate enough to find somebody. Well, I got routed a couple of times from one real estate agent to another one, and he happened to be a real estate investor. So he had a handyman who he referred me to, which was awesome. You know, when you get really comfortable or really interested in a certain market, like you keep saying, Mike, is that, you know, look for Facebook groups, look for any kind of social media, and just start talking to people, asking like, okay, what kind of homes work well here? You know, that kind of thing. And I did a combination of that and just getting listings of this area. And so if, you know, when you do it, it should be exciting and a little bit scary, but it should also kind of be natural, you know, because when you find a handyman, they might have a friend or somebody, you know, who can take care of trees. And it happened, my handyman specialties in trees, but he does a little bit of other stuff.
Right.
And then my real estate agent, Frank, his name, you know, he knew an electrician and some other stuff. And of course you should vet them like you would anyone and go through 2 or 3, but that's just the way it happened for me. And that's what I would suggest if somebody's just lost and not knowing where to go. It's just like, well, what part of the US or whatever country or place that you want to invest in, what draws you there? Okay, is it worth investing there? And, you know, there's always something that works in any market. And the best way to find out the shortcut is, instead of like spending months and months and months trying to analyze the numbers for student housing, for, you know, for multifamily, for single family, you know, just go on forums and stuff and ask. You know, we're in the age of social media, and so take advantage of it, and then it'll just you know, it'll just speed on through towards where you want to be.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that, you know, I've been encouraged to consider writing a book one day. I think that's like the next step that people just tell you should do. I know Dion's had the same thing. And if I was to try to think, what should I talk about that I'm an expert on, that is a little bit unique and not just the same bland story you've heard a million times. And for me, it would be the power of digital networking, because I met both of you guys. I met you, Dividend Dave, in the chat long before I ever met you in person. I met Dion in the videos, doing videos before I ever met him in person. The amount of damage that you can do, the amount of, like, you can make serious progress towards becoming a real estate investor and getting started investing and buying a house just from talking to people through a computer screen, over the phone, or in the comment section of a Facebook post. It's underrated how impactful that can be. Dion, will you talk on that a little bit? Because I mean, you interview people, you give out an hour of your time. I don't know if you bribed people to come to my channel with that this time, but you give out an hour of your time, and all of the, I mean, it helps you, it helps them, but it also helps you, because who knows where they will be 5 years from now? Who knows?
So I actually get something out of it that's very selfish. I haven't had somebody bring me like a wholesale deal right now that goes, hey, you have a YouTube channel, you have content, you want to buy this deal, it's an amazing deal. I've had people come to me and think, you sound really unintelligent, Dion. Here's this deal that I'm too embarrassed to put on the MLS. It's got such bad numbers. Do you think you want to buy it? Like, that's the kind of wholesalers I talk to. But here's what I get out of it. And you've probably heard me explain this before too. I was in a pretty bad position. A lot of bad debt, not making a lot of money, single parent, 3 kids. And I reached financial freedom in less than a decade. I can only do it once. Like that emotional roller coaster, feeling that emotions. And I'm not stupid. I'm not going to give everything away and try to do it again. Right. But when Dave reaches out and goes, I just closed on my duplex. I mean, it sucks. I'm going to move half a world away and we're not going to be able to hang out at the meetup anymore. But I get to have that dopamine hit of somebody on the path to financial freedom, closing on that duplex, getting their first house hack, all the things that you learn on that first deal that you're just going to use in the second purchase. And it's going to be less stressful, seem easier, seem almost like old hat, like, oh, I just pay for an inspection. This is what I'm looking for. I'm going to have my appraisal. Hope my appraisal comes in high. Like, I'm paying somebody to tell me the thing I'm trying to buy is expensive enough for me to buy it and be okay with that. Like, that's not how the first time goes, but by the third time, it's a lot easier. And so to me, the power of this is the motivation to share the information and connect people. And I see it on Facebook because I'm older, and I see it on YouTube. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on the other platforms. I know I could be. I know that there's more people I could reach there. I think it's probably easier to grow on some of those platforms. But for now, Facebook and YouTube seem to be what's working.
Guys, I will convert him at some point. Don't worry. All right, we're working on him. He's been posting his reels on Facebook, so we're gonna win him over. Real quick, let me check the chat real fast because people are jumping in and saying things. We are going to talk, at least for a little while longer, about the real estate skills you should master before your first deal. Dividend Dave gave us a couple good ones. We might opine for a minute longer. But Jay Aguilar, Glover, Rob, thank you for being here and for continuing to flame me in the comments. I appreciate that. Richard Gamino, I think Richard Gamino is the one who messaged me that Michael Bordenero video about you. He deserves credit for being on the lookout for us. Legacy OPP, loud and clear. Peter Navarro III, howdy, how's it going? Alyssa, thanks for being here. Laser Focus Solutions, my man Chris, he has been working on a 11-unit deal for like a month now. We've been talking about it. Hyder, my boy, appreciate you being here. Josh Burdick made the switch. Flash a light, howdy. Rob, so this is what it's like on Mike's channel. Spacious. Yeah, that's what happens when there's not a lot of viewers, buddy. They appreciate you calling that out. Justin Stanley wants Dion to lose sleep. Tom Kine, Mike, I apologize. I thought I was subscribed, but I wasn't. Crazy. Tom, appreciate you being here, dude. Thank you. Did we lose Dion? Oh, no, there he is. Okay. Okay. Aaron Broderson jumped from Dion's live to yours. Appreciate that. To and Fro Global, Leia. Hi, I'm here from Dion's channel. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm just trying to get through all these. Looks like most people here. Tom Kine, thank you for the $2 super chat asking where Maskey is. Dude, Maskey lives on old man retired time. All right. I'm just going to be straight up. If he watches this later, don't get offended, please. But he lives on old man retired time. You know, when I'm like, hey, do you want to do a video together? And he's like, well, I got to swim at 4. And my wife and I are taking a walk at 6. So my schedule's pretty packed. Bro, make some availability for your boy. All right. I don't know if I'm seeing any questions here. So I want to jump back to the topic at hand, which is real estate skills you should master before buying your first property. So Dave talked about networking, meeting other agents. Dion, what do you think people should work on before they buy their first rental property?
Before you're even making offers, there are some steps that you can be working on now. And these are steps that I think as an investor, we work on between purchases too. First, I want to correct the comment where somebody said, I offered everybody toasters if they came to your channel. I'm financially free, not financially stupid. I said, I offered to tase people, not toast, tase you. Make sure we get that straight. But you can be working on saving and working on your credit score before buying your first rental and between buying them. Saving doesn't mean decreasing your spending. It means increasing your income. That can be side hustle, overtime, promotion, changing companies. A lot of times you actually make more money if you change companies than if you try to get a promotion where you're at or hang out there for that cost of living raise. Increasing your income and then avoiding life creep. So I don't do the avoid the latte expenses kind of thing. Your credit score, a lot of people talk about if you can get to 740 or higher, you're going to have the best lending options, but that's the credit score that we see on your Credit Karma. The FICO score that the lenders are going to see can often be 30 to 40 points below that. So your goal should be constantly working to keep your credit score at 780 or higher, so that when the lenders look at it, they're seeing the number that does get you the best lending options. And before you're making offers and talking to an agent, you should be talking to that lender, making sure the lender knows what your options are, how much you have in savings, things that can change, loan products change with the same lender week to week on what they can offer, what their, not only what their rates are, what their down payment might be. I've had lenders say, nope, it's 25% down on a duplex. We haven't done anything different for 5 years. And then like 2 weeks later, we've got this new product out where you can do 10% down on a triplex or fourplex and 5% on a duplex. I've never seen this before, but if you weren't constantly checking with your lender to see what your options are, you wouldn't be on their radar to be somebody that communicated with. All of that can happen. And you don't even have a strategy picked. You might have a market, but you could be looking at single family, small multifamily, storage, RV, whatever your thing is, without talking to an agent. A lot of people think real estate investing is talk to my agent, get my offers out there, get my searches coming in. That's like step 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I want to bring Dividend Dave in on this because, again, we're super thankful to him for making the time to jump in with us here. And I want to ask you some questions about what Dion just said. So Dion said some of the things you could work on: building your credit and saving up enough money so you're actually prepared to buy that property. So you just recently got into this house hack, like within the last 6 months or something. Can you tell us you don't have to share exact specifics on your financial situation, but what was it like saving the money for that down payment, moving across the country, and then making sure you maintain credit or build credit to be able to qualify for that loan?
It's slow and painful. I'm not, I'm going to be completely transparent. When I first looked into getting into this real estate investing journey, I had messed up with money, was irresponsible in the past. So my credit score was like 590. And so I committed to, of course, I did the whole YouTube thing, how to build a credit, that kind of thing. I got one of those trainer cards where you put the $200 down for a $200 credit. And if you're a good boy, you get the $200 back. So I did all that. And then my credit's quite a bit better now, but it's still not quite at 700. But it's slow and painful, but you just have to stay focused and dedicated. And so, like what Dion's saying, focus on saving and focus on your credit, because when you have better credit, you just get better rates. You could have 2 years of like on-time payments, but if your credit score is low, they're still going to treat you as if you just missed your last 3 months, right?
Right.
So, and that's been my experience. So my advice to others is just, it's a marathon. It's not a race. Focus on saving. Focus on bettering your credit if it's not the best. And in that process, go out and meet people and study your market. It can all happen together. And that's what I would say. That's been my journey. And, I moved across the country in a market where it was like less than half the price of where you guys are at, because I got approved between 200,000 and 300,000 in that area. And I make the joke, it's like, well, I could probably afford a down payment on a used fridge there on the side of Union or something, So, but when I saw this area, where I am now in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, it was like you can buy like a 4-bed, 2-bath for like 300,000 in like a nice area, So, and then that with the mountains and the ocean, the stuff that I grew up and loved in the West. It was seamless to me to move here. But of course, during that whole time, I had to exercise financial responsibility and patience and just, growing your network. It's a slow growth. Like, Dion was saying, it took him 10 years, but I'm sure those 10 years weren't wasted.
Yeah, and for people who are watching this, hey, shout out to Dividend Dave. It's not easy to just be asked last minute to jump on a live stream live in front of 40, 50 people and then talk about your experience. So please, show some support for him down in the comment section. Let him know you guys appreciate him being here, because I appreciate him being here. But yeah, I appreciate the reality of that story. Like, yeah, you have a good story. I didn't have a great credit score. I was financially done with money at one point. And so I clawed my way back from where I was. I worked hard to get it to where my credit score is now. It still has a ways to go, but I didn't let that be an obstacle for me to stumble over. I continued moving forward, got over it, and now I'm successfully house hacking. I saw in the comment section, it looked like somebody asked a question that looked like.
Before you get there, I want to comment, Dave. You make a really good point. Those 10 years, they're worth it when you reach financial freedom, right? And then they're not great. But here's the thing I want everybody to think about: those 10 years are going to happen either way, right? Do you want to look back and go, I was financially stupid for 10 more years, or I was dedicated and focused for those 10 years, so now I never have to think about finances again?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah.
Dave, I want to ask you this question, and then Dion. This one comes from SNSR20. He says, what's your view about having a rental property very close walking distance to your own house? I do self-managing alongside a day job, and I believe I can manage it much better if I stay close. Well, Dividend Dave and Dion and myself, we all live as close to a tenant as you possibly can. We literally house hack and share a wall. So Dave, we'll start with you. How's it been? How's that experience been being right there on top of the tenant?
Oh, well, literally, I'm side to side, but semantics aside, it's been great. I inherited these tenants, and that was kind of the perk, but it can also be a pitfall depending on what you discover after you get it. I didn't really have the time I really don't think they had rent rolls. They didn't really have, I couldn't see the timely payments in the past. So I'm like, okay, I'll take a shot. I'm taking it with other stuff aside from knowing I can cash flow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's been a really, really good experience. They've been really communicative, or, communicating well. A little bit of training. I hate to use that word, but you know what I mean. A little bit of like, okay, let me know when things are wrong, because
Right.
if they're wrong and you don't tell me and they get worse, yeah, we're probably going to have you pay a little bit of that. But it's been great. I mean, they've paid consistently, except for this month. It's been a little late, but that's another story. But they've been pretty good. They're quiet. They're respectful. But I don't really think distance is so much. I mean, when it comes to like, you and Gary, of course, you can't just like hop on a plane, fly out to tighten a pipe or something, right? You have to have the system. So I would say the further you are away from like the property you're renting out, the tighter your systems should be. I mean, you should still have tight systems right next door, you know what I mean? But you should consider that the time value in upkeep and maintaining the property and keeping things good with the tenant.
No, I agree. It is important to have good systems in place, regardless of where you're investing or how. But the further away you are from the issue, the better your systems have to be, because you cannot get there to be hands-on quickly. Dion, same question to you. Let me ask the second part. He goes, even though that 10% cash on cash return rule does not apply as property price is very high, probably 5 to 6% return. I'm not sure if maybe there was a third question in there from him that got removed, but what do you think, Dion? How do you enjoy living so close to your tenants when you're house hacking? So
the two different answers there, and let me remind me if I don't get to the second one. The first is, so I house hack, and there's tenants that are really close. I've been to my other properties more than I've been to the other units in this property. I don't know that I've been inside. I've been inside one of the units that isn't the one I live in. The other two, I've never seen the inside of, but I have other properties that I've been to. I kind of like the idea of spreading them out, having them more than 10 miles apart, because I'm in Washington, where the economic drivers are 20 to 30 miles, or not miles, minutes apart, right? Like a 5-mile drive can take you 20 minutes depending on traffic. So I want close to the base, the port, the college, the hospital, like each rental close to their thing. So if there's enough economic drivers in your area, there are investors who buy 5 houses on one street, and then they're totally fine, because there's enough sources of tenants in that market for that to be a good strategy. I do limit my properties to no more than an hour from me, and I think I have one that's right on the edge, like 50 minutes away. But I make sure that I know a handyman that lives in that area that will handle issues that I could go handle myself more often. I would have the handyman go do that. So my systems are a little more tuned in on the property that's further away, because I'm too lazy to drive an hour, which I think I've been to that property twice, the inspection, and then once about 6 months ago I went and I was like, oh, this place has another bedroom I didn't know about. So it was a good trip down there for it. So that was the first thing. The second thing, the property only having a 5 or 6 return, what is normal for your market? And I don't have this worked out completely, but I'm going to be making a video comparing stocks to real estate with actual real numbers. And so let's just do this really quick with a 5% cash on cash return. So you said probably 6%, let's say 5. So stocks over a long enough period of time, averaged out, gives you 10% return every year, right? And to get that 10%, you either need to sell the stocks to actually get the money to have that 10% gain. With real estate, you're talking a 5 or 6%. So we're going to go 5% cash on cash return. That's money now that you get to spend or save or invest, your choice. But over a long enough, just like stocks, over a long enough number of years, we have a 10% gain. Real estate over a long enough timeline has an average of 5% per year. But that's not 5% on the money that you put into it. If you put 25% in, it's 5% on 4 times what you put in. So if you put in $100,000 on a $400,000 fourplex and it goes up 5%, that doesn't mean you gained $5,000. It's $20,000. And then you have every month principal paid on of about 1% of the loan value. So 5% cash on cash, 5% appreciation, 1%. Your low, very conservative return on that rental is 11%. No, because it's 5% on 4 times. So that's 20. So we're at 26% ROI on an IR, internal rate of return, including all of those things, versus what you can get 10% on stock. So even your 5 or 6% I think the question kind of made it sound like this might not be a great deal, is a 26% IRR over a long enough averaged out. So we're not even talking about the last 2 years where we've seen 20 to 30% appreciation on 4 times what you put in. So the numbers get astronomically better than what the long average is. In the same time frame where we've seen most major stocks, like the top 5, go down 40%.
Yeah, to piggyback off of what Dion just said. So at age 22, I contacted a Dave Ramsey endorsed local provider. This was back when I was still an avid Dave Ramsey fan. I'm a recovering Dave addict. Hi, my name is Mike. I now believe in credit cards. Thank you. I've got my 4-year chip and it's from Chase. Anyways, but the point is, I contacted one of his endorsed local providers, and what they do is they encourage you to invest into mutual funds. Mutual funds are similar to index funds. They're essentially just a group of stocks that follow market trends. It's, a basket of goods essentially picked from different sectors of the stock market that are hopefully going to be more resilient against a recession or something like that. So you invest into these index funds, these mutual funds over time. And, if you do it long enough, you'll be able to retire, blah, blah, blah. You know the deal. Last year, single worst year that I've ever had. So I usually have averaged like 12 to 13% over the 9 years I've been investing in that thing. Last year, 25% drop. 25% drop. Now, I'm not selling at the bottom. It'll come back eventually. I'll weather the storm because that's just how the stock market works. It goes up and down and up and down, but it's like a yo-yo as you walk up a mountain. Sure, the yo-yo is going up and down, but if you're walking up a hill, you're still always going up. However, at the same time where stocks had the single worst year that I've had and single worst year that most people have had, crypto also got killed, by the way. My real estate continued to appreciate in value in all 3 markets that I'm in, and my rents continue to go up in all 3 markets that I'm in. I still paid $0 in any of the taxes because I have so many different write-offs. I was able to take advantage of my depreciation. Hands down, real estate stomps. It's not even close. Real estate is Michael Jordan. Stocks are like a C team basketball team just getting smoked. All right. Let me find another question.
So while you're looking for that question, let me throw in a caveat here. When it comes to investing, I think it's really important for you to invest in something that you are excited by. It's going to suck investing in stocks or crypto or growing a business or real estate. There are going to be challenges, right? So real estate is very simple. That doesn't mean it's very easy, right? If stocks excite you, that's your thing. You're more likely to stick to a plan you're emotionally invested in because it excites you. When the first challenge pops up, you're going to be excited and work through it. Don't invest based on emotions, but make sure there's emotion tied to your investing. For me, real estate is not only exciting because I just showed that on an average return, 26% beats 10%. And that 10% would have been taxed. Mike, you point out with depreciation and write-offs, the 26% is basically tax-free. But if there's someone watching that thinks I want to be financially free and I don't like real estate, that's okay. Stocks can work. There's a channel here on YouTube called Joe Kuhn, Kuhn. He invested in stocks. He used the bucket method, and it's absolutely a valid system that I would completely support if stocks excited you. Okay.
I got 2 super chats. I gotta get to them real quick. Adam Calhoun, appreciate you. He goes, "Hey guys, appreciate the content. Have a good night. You too, appreciate you being here." And Rob goes, "Donation for Mike's Don't Shoot Me Bro shirt." I do actually. That's actually not a bad idea. I should get that written on a shirt somewhere. One of the questions that I saw that I thought might be good to ask. I don't know if Dividend Dave knows this answer, but Dividend Dave, you are a CPA, correct?
No.
Oh, an accountant.
Yes.
Right.
That's
Okay.
true.
Sorry. As a non-college educated man such as myself, sometimes I confuse things like that. My bad. Not a CPA, but an accountant.
You're forgiven. It's okay. You're forgiven.
And I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I'll ask you first, just in case you do. Says this question's really good. From Delta Uniform Tango Charlie Hotel Echo Sierra Sierra, which is Duchess. So from Duchess, why do lenders see a lower number than the buyer on credit score? Or what? Here's a better way to phrase it. How come different things like Credit Karma versus what your lender pulls, how come you sometimes get a different credit score from all these different avenues? Do you know, Dave?
I would say that's really a non-accounting thing. I would just say, I think I have the right answer here, but I would always check with, you can always check with the bureaus themselves, but different things are reported to different bureaus, I believe, and they're not all reported to all 3 all the time. So ones with higher credit scores might not have certain kinds of late fees or delinquencies or things like that reported to them that others with lower scores might. Of course, verify everything I'm saying. I haven't really looked into that too much, but in my work to repair my credit, that's as I understand it. And of course, they usually take the average, which is usually the lower amount. And I believe when you lend, they do look at the lowest amount. Mm-hmm. And in Dion and Mike, you guys can verify with that, or you can say, well, go ask them yourself, I guess. But that's been my experience is knowing the answer to that on that part. Yeah.
So when you run the credit, there's this FICO 3, FICO 6, different things where they look at different aspects of your credit differently. That's why Credit Karma shows us one. The lenders are looking at a different. So it's literally a different metric is why they see a different number.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's been my understanding as well when I've asked that exact question. Well, how come Credit Karma says I'm doing better than some of these other things? And usually, believe it or not, my Credit Karma has always seemed to be pretty much dead on with whatever. When a lender pulls your credit to approve you for a loan, I eventually get that credit pull, that score gets mailed to me and I get to see what it is. And it's almost identical with my Credit Karma always. But what I've been told is that there's essentially a bunch of different models that get used to predict your credit based off of the reports, the different things that might be on there. And some of the different computer models that predict your credit don't always have all the same information as the other ones, as Dave had mentioned. And sometimes they calculate the score slightly differently. So that's why you can see variance right there.
Yeah, you can get a free poll per year, I believe. And then you can have people polls. There's circumstances where you can get like soft polls, which won't affect your credit score. And then you can see it that way. But I would always bet for the lower of the 3 and then assume that it's that. They work from there.
Okay.
If I could, there's a question here from REI Stoners. Howdy, Josh. Dave, are you doing your own home improvements?
No, and my house is still standing because of it. but I do want to learn to do some minor stuff. I mean, I could probably paint okay. And I drilled like 20 holes trying to mount my TV looking for the stud, because I'm pretty sure a $5 stud finder isn't going to find anything.
We all start somewhere, Dave. I love it, man.
The wall's still up. It's still up. It just looks like a woodpecker got loose in the house.
I like it. Here's a question that I think Dave is the only one who can answer. So Rob makes the very astute observation. Dion and Mike don't suffer from the hardest investor problem there is. We don't have to get our partner on board. Now, Dividend Dave is actually happily married with a child. Dave, how did you get your wife interested in real estate investing, or how did you get her to buy off on it or sign off? Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Ooh, yeah. Well, there's a reason why it's taking so long for me to get a down payment for a house, and that's because lots of presents. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You know, really, in all seriousness, it was just going through the journey together, saying, hey, you know, I'm interested in getting a house. What do you think? Most people, just about everybody, you know, especially families, are going to be interested in getting a house, right? You know, some people, of course, like to rent, but you know, the whole American dream thing, you can use that and you can be like, well, hey, what if we did this crazy thing people are talking about online, where you rent out a room to complete strangers and hope it goes well. And then you could try that out. And then you say, hey, look, we have money to go on vacation. We have more money to do this or that kind of thing. So you just kind of go along with the journey, I would say, and just show the benefits and make it a conversation. Don't say, hey, honey, what did you do today? I bought ourselves a duplex and now we have tenants we have to take care of for the rest of our lives. Really with her, it was just like, okay, we were really interested in moving to North Carolina. She just didn't like the rain and that kind of thing. And, so we're looking at that, and we came here, looked at houses. And so that was part of the journey. And then as I learned things about, like short-term rental strategies, long-term rentals, stuff like videos that you and Dion had made, and I was watching, I'm like, hey, that's really cool. And then I would talk to her about it, because we work as a team with everything. And so as we talked about it, she started seeing the benefits, and now she just, recently bought like the Japanese version of Rich Dad Poor Dad, and she's read the Japanese portion of or the translation of Richest Man in Babylon. So she's actually getting more active into it. And like I'm saying with the other things in Growing Network, it becomes a natural, seamless thing. And like I said, it's all about the journey. And to end this long story short, just take them on the journey and learn together.
Yeah, that unfortunately, it's a topic that I just really can't speak on. I did the whole real estate investing thing as a single guy. I believe Dion did too, because it was post coming out of a divorce that he kind of was prompted to this. And I truly actually feel bad for people in this situation, because I see this comment all the time on Facebook, on YouTube, everywhere. I can't get my wife interested. I can't get my significant other to come to a real estate meetup, to read a book, to listen to a podcast. They don't want to, and they don't want to stop spending ridiculous amounts of money on things that we don't need. They don't want to save. They don't want to cut back. And I don't really have a good answer for you. I don't know how to have that conversation beyond, I guess, just trying. Dion?
So I met with a young gentleman on one of my trips to Florida, Bill, who was looking at a house hack and then a purchase and turning their house into a rental. And his spouse wasn't opposed, right, but wasn't on board. And I said, well, you have to think of what matters to them. You're not going to turn them into an investor that's looking for financial freedom, because if most people's goal is stable employment to the point of retirement, they're not going to think of retiring early. But as a younger couple, I thought, so this house hack, this move, he told me it's going to cash flow about $600 a month. And so my suggestion was, the investing isn't going to be what appeals to her. Let's try the money. I said, so $600 coming in on this house hack or the rental or whichever one it was at the time. I said, I want you to take $200, tell her specifically, $200 of this cash flow is yours. I can never question you on what you use it for. You could take your friends to lunch, go get a mani-pedi. You can save it. You can do anything you want. I can never care what you're going to do with this money. The 400 isn't mine. You're getting 200. I'm not getting 400. The 400 is for me to help us purchase our next property to increase the cash flow and maybe increase your $200 every month that you get to do whatever you want with that I can never care or ask about. And then you the financial freedom in like 5 or 10 years or whatever the timeline is, gets us this time to spend more time with our kids. So the spouse gets to take that $200, take their friends to lunch or whatever. They did the house hack. He's reached out a couple of times. It's working really well because it was find out what matters to the spouse. It might be the time freedom that's going to come from financial freedom later. It might be some cash flow to use now. Do the math to where the investment is still worth it, that it's going to create cash flow. But whenever we make a decision, remember, we're not trying to convince the person. We're trying to find out what matters to the person and then have that align with what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
I agree. Got another super chat came in. This one's for Dave. $1.99 from Chris Ledbetter. He says, Dave, is my super chat tax deductible? Hey,
no, probably not.
Can you write it off as entertainment? Can you write it off as a real estate expense? I don't know.
Yeah, Dion says look for the ways to do it. If you can work it into I mean, maybe you could do it as a charity. or something like that. But
You know what?
That one's hard. That one's hard because, you know, you got with that. It's almost like it'd be like a business expense where it has to be ordinary and necessary. And if you can get something for free, and you don't have to pay for it, and it's voluntary. I mean, there could be something. The tax law is like eons and eons of pay is tall, and so it just might be my limited knowledge of it. But for the moment, it's not until you can find a way to make it.
Well, I appreciate you going through the mental exercise on that one for us, Dave. Hey, we're going to go and answer a couple last questions, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. So we're going to be done here in about the next 10 minutes. I'm going to try to speed through here. A lot of people said some positive things about Dave. Dave, hopefully you get a chance to read through the chat because people are saying, thanks, Dividend Dave. Go, Dave. Thank you, Dave, from Melissa. Dave, how old are you? Jay Aguilar, not to put you on the spot.
I am 41.
My man, what a stud. There we go. Okay. Thanks, Dividend Dave. And hi again. Richard Gamina says, right on, Dave. You're doing what needs to be done. Get her done. Financial Firefighter says, Dave is the man, even though he can't catch up to Mike in views. Dude, Marcus sure just likes to try to flame anybody, dude. He's just out there on an island by himself trying to start fires. That's against your job, bro. Laura Semeniago says, thanks, Dividend Dave, for sharing. Let's see here. Any other questions? It looks like we might have a couple more. Let's see here. Richard Gamino. All righty. Try to figure out if we got any other good ones that are worth saying. Tom Kine says, Dave, tell the truth. You're the king and you rule the kingdom. Apparently he says that you're a dictator over there. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. Weird, you have to, Miss Noya no says, weird, you have to convince the spouse. Dude, sometimes, dude, I see it all the time where people struggle with that. So
You don't have to convince the spouse, but if you want to keep the spouse, it might help.
you're right. Right, exactly. Yeah, a lot of people are just saying thanks to Dave. I'll come back and hit a couple questions real quick. Let's see here. Nalier Studios says, do you guys improve insulation when you purchase your multifamilies to reduce noise and to prevent complaints, or are the multifamilies generally well insulated? Dion, thoughts?
Mine have been well insulated. I have had insulation redone on the bottom after the inspection showed insulation wasn't done really well. Not to reduce noise or anything. It's just mostly you're going to avoid freezing pipes and stuff like that if it's done right. All of my utilities are in the tenant's name. I don't want the utilities too high because if the utilities are really high, tenants could move out. So again, I'm looking at that too. I haven't specifically gone in and done it for noise. When I do replace flooring, so my rentals are all side by side, but a couple are townhouse style, like my fourplex is 4 units side by side. I do put in thicker LVP flooring upstairs. I use at least 30 mil thickness so that helps, and larger. I do tile, not plank. So it's larger tile. So it's almost, I've never heard anybody walking from upstairs. I don't know that insulation would impact that very much though, as far as sound goes.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with the lumberjack when I was out there, and we were going through some of his remodels, doing live streams through there, and he does insulate additionally. And I know Hyder could probably name the products because I can't remember. One of them was called Quiet Rock. It's a special type of sheet rock that's much more expensive, but it's like got 8 times the noise reducing qualities about it. He also gets special windows that will reduce noise if he's close enough to a street. So we were inside one of his units that was right off a main road, and it did not sound like you were near a street. I was very impressed by it. So if you want to ask that question, Ray, on one of the lumberjacks live streams, I would, because he'll give you the product names, or maybe Hyder can throw them out in the comment section too. Let's see here. I think I probably got through most of the questions. If there's anything else, get them in real quick. I want to just one more shout out to Dave. And if anybody else is maybe wanting to get on, share a little bit of their story, spend a little time with Dion and I. Yeah, we might do this again where we jump a live stream over and feature somebody from the comment section. I know a lot of people want to meet All Nighter Hyder. A lot of people want to meet a lot of you guys. So Dave, thank you for being here. Thanks for always being a loyal subscriber. Dion, any final thoughts? We'll wrap this thing up.
The final thoughts are, I would look at this as a tax write-off, to Dave's point. My YouTube premium is a tax write-off, and I will argue with an IRS agent that the education I've got from YouTube University is absolutely worth the write-off and the expense for that. Is it worth it to do a donation, a super chat to try to get a tax write-off? No. But if you're going to do a super chat, it's just like I would never get a mortgage for the tax benefit, but if I have a mortgage, I'm going to get the tax benefit. The last thing to wrap up with is You, and I say this in a few videos, you are going to be alive in 5 years. Start investing like it, because those 5 years are going to happen no matter what.
Yep. Dave, final thoughts?
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. This was a very pleasant surprise. Thank you to both of you. You guys have taught me so much, and any opportunity I can get out there to give it back would be great. Closing words would be just, in my very limited investing experience, I've learned so much by just going out there and networking with people, and not being afraid of putting myself out there, because it is simple, but it's not easy. You know, even the most turnkey property will always have things that come up. So as you know, Dion always says and whatnot, keep your reserves up, right? There's always going to be the unexpected, but you know, it's an adventure, it's a journey, it's a marathon. Get out there, get excited, know people, learn about things through them, and just embrace it, and you know, be excited about whatever investment you decide to get into.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a great point you make on reserves. Be excited about what you're doing. Make sure you do things safely, have reserves, you know what your own risk tolerance levels are. Guys, I appreciate you both being here. We're going to wrap this thing up now. My last final thought would be, you know, I really enjoy the friends, the community, the relationships that we've built in the comment section, doing videos. All of us are on this journey together, like the one rental at a time family of subscribers and channels. And like, we're here to help you. And we do it because we care. Like Dion and I, neither one of us have a course. You know, we just genuinely, and there's nothing wrong with Mike or Matt having courses, but like, we just genuinely enjoy talking to people and helping people. Like when you get to teach people something and watch them progress and accomplish things that they didn't previously know they could do, it's an immensely rewarding thing to do. You know, Dion was a master DT instructor as a police officer. I'm a firearms instructor on my side. It's very satisfying to watch people go from not having confidence in themselves or in something they're doing, and then get to a point where they're self-sustaining. So thank you for allowing us to help you. Thanks for being here and supporting us. We'll catch you guys next time. And until then, we'll catch you later.
Ciao.